The November international break is right around the corner, which means that the World Cup qualifiers are almost done. We have the first round of European qualifiers coming to an end, which will see 11 more European nations qualify for the World Cup. We also have the CONCACAF Qualifiers coming to an end, which will see 3 nations earn direct qualification to next year's tournament. There are 4 African nations who are looking to secure their spot at the inter-confederation playoffs, and 2 nations are left in Asia who are also looking for a spot at the playoffs next year. Let's start off in Group A, where things are kicking off between Germany, Slovakia, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg. So right now at the top of Group A, we have Germany and Slovakia, who are both tied on 9 points. Germany obviously have the better goal differential with a +5, so they're sitting at the very top. Northern Ireland are in 3rd place with 6 points from 2 wins and 2 losses in their first 4 matches, and at the very bottom, already eliminated from the competition, is Luxembourg, who have 0 points from their first 4 games and a -9 goal differential. Now, taking a look at the next 4 games in Group A, we have Luxembourg versus Germany and Slovakia versus Northern Ireland on Friday, November 14th, followed by Germany versus Slovakia and Northern Ireland versus Luxembourg on Monday, November 17th. So there's a lot to look forward to here. I think Germany versus Slovakia on the final match day is going to be a critical game to decide this group. I think Germany have the advantage because they'll be playing at home, but as we saw on match day 1, Germany did not beat Slovakia, so that was a big shock. But considering that Germany are about to play Luxembourg, I think they're going to score a bunch of goals in that game to secure a better goal differential. So I think out of this, Germany's going to finish at the top of Group A, Slovakia will finish 2nd. I don't think Northern Ireland will be able to leapfrog Slovakia unless they pull off a crazy upset in Slovakia on Friday, and Luxembourg will finish with 0 points at the bottom of Group A. So now we're moving on to Group B, and Group B currently looks like this. We have Switzerland at the top with 10 points, followed by Kosovo in 2nd with 7 points. Slovenia is in 3rd place with 3 points, and Sweden, the shock of the European qualifiers so far, only have 1 point from their first 4 matches. So taking a look at the next 4 games in Group B, we have Slovenia taking on Kosovo and Switzerland taking on Sweden on Saturday, November 15th. We also have Kosovo taking on Switzerland and Sweden taking on Slovenia on Tuesday, November 18th. So there's a lot of talking points to talk about in Group B right now. I think Sweden is obviously the shock of the group so far. No one would have expected them to be at the bottom. I certainly did not. I thought they'd be at the top of the group by now. But their match against Switzerland on Saturday is going to be a crucial game for Sweden. That's a must-win game if they have any chance of making it, at least to finish in 2nd place. I don't think finishing in 1st place is even mathematically possible anymore. But another big one to look forward to is Slovenia versus Kosovo. I think if Kosovo can get a win in that game, they have a chance to secure at least 2nd place in this group. I think Switzerland will finish on top, probably with 13, maybe 14 points. But there's a lot to look forward to in Group B over the next few days. So now we're moving on to Group C of the European Qualifiers, which has been one of the most entertaining of them all so far. We have Denmark and Scotland tied on 10 points at the very top, followed by Greece in 3rd place with 3 points, and Belarus at the very bottom with 0 points. So the next 4 games in Group C are Denmark taking on Belarus and Greece taking on Scotland on Saturday, November 15th, followed by Belarus taking on Greece and Scotland taking on Denmark on Tuesday, November 18th. So there's a lot to talk about here, and there's a lot to look forward to if you're a Denmark fan or a Scotland fan. Honestly, Greece probably don't have a chance at this point. They literally cannot mathematically finish in 2nd place. So really this is just a 2-horse race between Denmark and Scotland, which makes their game on Tuesday, November 18th so exciting. I feel like that's going to be a winner takes all match. I think Denmark have the better goal differential here with +11. I don't really see Scotland putting too many goals past Greece in their 5th game. So I think both Denmark and Scotland are going to come away with a win on match day 5. But then on match day 6, whoever comes away with a win in Scotland is probably going to top this group here. And then I think honestly Scotland will pull it off. I think they can leapfrog Denmark on the final match day, considering they are playing at home in Glasgow. But there's a lot to look forward to here, and honestly, this group is still up in the air. So now we're moving on to Group D, and Group D currently looks like this. We have France at the very top with 10 points, followed by Ukraine in 2nd with 7 points. Iceland is in 3rd place with 4 points, and Azerbaijan are very last with 1 point. So the next 4 games in Group D look like this. We have Azerbaijan taking on Iceland and France taking on Ukraine on Thursday, November 13th. Followed by Azerbaijan versus France and Ukraine versus Iceland on Sunday, November 16th. So the main talking point here is France versus Ukraine on match day 5. If Ukraine can somehow pull off a win in France over the table holders right now, that could be a huge shock. Honestly, France is probably going to destroy Azerbaijan on the final match day, so their goal difference is probably going to grow to at least +10, +11. But if Ukraine can get a shocking win on Thursday, and there's still a lot to play for in Group D, Realistically speaking, I think France have been pretty impressive in these qualifiers, so I don't really see them losing or even drawing that game against Ukraine, but if they do, it would make this group so much more entertaining. I think it's going to finish the way it looks right now. France is going to finish in first place with probably 13-14 points, followed by Ukraine, and then Iceland and Azerbaijan don't really have a chance, so that's how Group D is looking right now. So now we're moving on to one of the most exciting groups of the European qualifiers so far, which has been Group E, that is consisting of Spain, who are currently in first place with 12 points, Turkey are in second place with 9 points, Georgia are in third place with 3 points, and Bulgaria sit at the very bottom with 0 points. Taking a look at the next 4 games of this group, we have Georgia versus Spain and Turkey versus Bulgaria on Saturday, November 15th, followed by Bulgaria versus Georgia and Spain versus Turkey on Tuesday, November 18th. So there's a lot to talk about here. Spain have obviously been dominating this group. They've won all 4 of their matches and they haven't conceded a single goal so far. And their next games are against Georgia and Turkey, who they've already beaten. So I'd be very shocked if Spain don't top this group. I think they will. They honestly might get 18 points from their 6 games, which would be a perfect record. I thought Georgia would be a lot better in these qualifiers. They've been pretty underwhelming so far. Their only win came against Bulgaria, which was a 3-0 win, but they've been really struggling against Turkey, which I didn't expect. So I would say that their next game against Spain is probably not going to end very well, but they'll probably get another win against Bulgaria, but that won't be enough to get them at least in second. So Group E is probably going to finish out this way as well. Spain on top, Turkey finishing second, Georgia's probably going to secure third, and Bulgaria, unfortunately, are going to finish dead last. So now we're moving on to the final group of 4 teams, which is obviously Group F here, and the Group F currently looks like Portugal at the top with 10 points, followed by Hungary in second place with 5 points, Ireland in third place with 4 points, and Armenia in the last place with 3 points. The next 4 games in Group F look like this. Armenia is taking on Hungary, and Ireland are taking on Portugal on Thursday, November 13th. Followed by Hungary taking on Ireland and Portugal taking on Armenia on Sunday, November 16th. So there's a lot to talk about here. Portugal can secure direct qualification on Thursday if they beat Ireland, and Hungary don't win again, or even if they do win against Armenia, they're still going to qualify. So it's pretty much Portugal's group to lose at this point with their 5-point difference and a +7 goal differential. But what makes this group interesting is who is gonna get second place. So Hungary and Ireland are only separated by 1 point, which means on match day 6, when Hungary take on Ireland, it's going to be a winner takes all match. I think both teams desperately need this. They desperately need to get back to the World Cup. I think for Hungary it'll look better if they make it, because they probably have a better squad on paper. But personally, I think if Ireland make it, it'll be a really great story. So I honestly don't know who's going to finish second here, but for sure Portugal in first and Armenia at the bottom with probably 3 points. I don't think they're going to get any more points in this group. So now we're moving on to one of the most interesting groups as well, and that has been Group G. So Group G currently looks like this. We have Netherlands in first place with 16 points. Followed by Poland in second place with 13 points, Finland in third place with 10 points, and then Lithuania in fourth place with 3 points, and Malta at the very bottom with 2 points. The next 4 games in Group G look like this. We have Finland taking on Malta and Poland taking on the Netherlands on Friday, November 14th, followed by Malta taking on Poland and Netherlands taking on Lithuania on Monday, November 17th. So obviously, the big game here is going to be Poland taking on the Netherlands on Friday. Now, Poland are playing at home, but I don't know if that is enough of an advantage to really take on this Dutch side, who haven't lost a single game yet, and they have a +19 goal differential. So it's going to take a miracle for Poland to beat them on match day. What is that going to be? 7 for them. But there is hope. There is a chance. But unfortunately, the Netherlands are playing Lithuania on match day 8, and they're probably going to score a lot of goals against them. So I really don't see Poland winning this group. I think they're going to secure second place pretty comfortably. I don't think Finland have what it takes to finish in second, considering how they played so far. So I think the group is probably gonna look like this. I think the Netherlands might go undefeated. They might finish with 20, 21, 22 points. Should be an entertaining end to Group G though. Now we're moving on to the group that I've been paying the most attention to, and that has been Group H. So Group H currently looks like this. We have Austria in first place with 15 points. Bosnia and Herzegovina are second with 13 points. Romania are in third place with 10 points. Cyprus are in fourth place with 8 points. And San Marino are at the very bottom with 0 points. So the next 4 games in Group H look like this. We have Cyprus taking on Austria and Bosnia and Herzegovina taking on Romania on Saturday, November 15th. Followed by Austria taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina and Romania taking on San Marino on Tuesday, November 18th. So there's a lot to talk about here. Obviously, this is Austria's group to lose. They have a 2-point advantage over Bosnia and a 5-point advantage over Romania. Now, obviously, I'm going to be cheering for Romania because that's my team. There's like one scenario where Romania finish at the top of this group if Austria somehow lose their next 2 games against Cyprus and Bosnia, and Romania win the next 2 games against Bosnia and San Marino. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but I am hoping for a miracle. Realistically, what's probably going to happen is Austria is going to beat Cyprus, and then they might draw or they might be Bosnia as well. So I think Austria realistically are going to finish at the top of the group pretty comfortably, but because Romania are playing Bosnia on match day 7 for them, if they can come away with a win against them, they will surely beat San Marino by a healthy margin. So my prediction is going to be Romania finishing in 2nd place in Group H, which is going to knock Bosnia and Herzegovina down to 3rd. And unfortunately, Austria will claim the direct qualification spot and finish at the top of Group H. So now we're moving on to one of my favorite groups from the European qualifiers, and that has been Group I. Now, Group I currently looks like this. We have Norway in 1st place with 18 points, followed by Italy in 2nd place with 15 points, Israel in 3rd place with 9 points, Estonia in 4th place with 4 points, and Moldova at the very bottom with 1 point. The next 4 games in Group I look like this. Norway is taking on Estonia, and Moldova is taking on Italy on Thursday, November 13th, followed by Israel taking on Moldova and Italy taking on Norway on Sunday, November 16th. So the big storyline here is going to be the final match day between Norway and Italy. Now, you would say Italy would have a chance, but considering Norway have a plus 26 goal differential at the moment, it's going to take a generational collapse for this Norwegian side not to qualify for the World Cup. Unless they drop points against Estonia, which I highly doubt because of how Estonia has been playing, Norway should have this qualification in the bag. Even if they lose to Italy on the final match day, they have a crazy goal differential to use as a safety cushion. So really, this has been Italy's group to lose. Obviously, their only loss came against Norway on the first match day, but they were completely outclassed in that game as well. So it's going to be a really interesting match on the final match day to see how those two play. When it comes to the bottom 3, I think it's pretty locked in. I think Israel's going to finish in 3rd, Estonia in 4th, and Moldova in 5th. So really just be on the lookout for that Italy-Norway game on the final match day in Group I. So now we're moving down to a pretty close group, and that is Group J that currently looks like this. We have Belgium at the top with 14 points, followed by North Macedonia with 13 points. Wales is in 3rd place with 10 points. Kazakhstan is in 4th place with 7 points, and Liechtenstein are at the very bottom with 0 points. The next 4 games in Group J look like this. We have Kazakhstan taking on Belgium and Liechtenstein taking on Wales on Saturday, November 15th, followed by Belgium taking on Liechtenstein and Wales taking on North Macedonia on Tuesday, November 18th. So it's pretty obvious here, even though Belgium only have a 1-point lead over North Macedonia, they're probably going to qualify first in this group. The big talking point here is North Macedonia versus Wales on Tuesday, November 18th. Whoever wins that game, it's going to be a must-win game for Wales, honestly, because they are 3 points behind. But if they win that, then they'll be tied with North Macedonia. The only thing is there's a plus 6 goal differential between them. So Wales are going to have to absolutely destroy Liechtenstein on match day 7, probably win by 4 or 5 goals to at least come close to North Macedonia's goal differential, and then they have to win that game. They are playing Cardiff though, so we have an advantage there, but it's going to be really interesting to see how Group J shapes up. So now we're moving on to Group K, and Group K currently looks like this. We have England at the very top with 18 points, followed by Albania in 2nd place with 11 points. Serbia is in 3rd place with 10 points. Latvia is in 4th place with 5 points, and Andorra are at the very bottom with 1 point. The next 4 games in Group K look like this. So we have Andorra taking on Albania and England taking on Serbia on Thursday, November 13th, followed by Albania taking on England and Serbia taking on Latvia on Sunday, November 16th. So obviously England are the only European team who have earned direct qualification for the World Cup so far, so the race for first place doesn't really matter anymore. So that we're going to take our attention to the race for 2nd place, which is going to be between Albania and Serbia. So what makes this really interesting is both nations have to face England in their upcoming matches. So it's going to be really hard for either team to beat England, who are currently perfect. They've won 6 games and they've only scored 18 goals and conceded 0. So they're playing really well right now. Out of these 2 teams, they're both not playing at their best right now, but I think Serbia would have the slightest advantage against England if they were to play them. But I think Albania is going to win against Andorra and Serbia is going to win against Latvia. So really, it's all about Albania slipping up at some point because they have that 1-point advantage over Serbia. How this group plays out, I'm not too sure. I think it's going to be really interesting and to Group K, so keep your eyes out on this one as well. And now we're moving on to the final group in the European qualifiers, which is Group L, which currently looks like this. We have Croatia at the top with 16 points, followed by Czechia in 2nd place with 13 points. The Faroe Islands come in 3rd with 12 points, which has been honestly one of the shocks of this European qualifiers. Montenegro are in 4th place with 6 points, and Gibraltar are at the very bottom with 0 points. So the final 4 games in Group L look like this. We have Croatia taking on the Faroe Islands and Gibraltar taking on Montenegro on Friday, November 14th, followed by Czechia taking on Gibraltar and Montenegro taking on Croatia on Monday, November 17th. So there is a lot to talk about here. The main talking point is that Croatia are basically qualified at this point. It's really just a mathematical thing at this point. They need to get 1 point and they'll probably be in to the qualifiers, but they should be able to beat the Faroe Islands and Montenegro pretty comfortably. What is interesting here is that Czechia, if they slip up against Gibraltar, which isn't going to happen because they're going to destroy Gibraltar, if in some alternate reality they do, the Faroe Islands could leapfrog them and maybe qualified, but it's going to take a miracle, and considering they're playing Croatia, I don't really see that happening. I think it would be a great story if they did, to see the Faroe Islands replace Czechia, but it's probably not going to happen. The group is probably going to finish like this: Croatia on top, and then Czechia taking the second place spot in Group L. So now we're moving on to the CONCACAF Qualifiers for North America, and in Group A we currently have Suriname at the top with 6 points, Panama in second place with 6 points, Guatemala in third place with 5 points, and El Salvador with 3 points. The next 4 games in Group A look like this: Suriname is taking on El Salvador, and Guatemala is taking on Panama on Thursday, November 13th, and then on a Tuesday, November 18th, we have Guatemala taking on Suriname and Panama taking on El Salvador. So there is a lot going on here. This group is obviously a lot closer than any of the European groups that we saw. There's only 1 point that separates first and third place, and obviously only first place earns direct qualification to the World Cup. I think Suriname could honestly pull off an upset. They are playing El Salvador on match day 5, and if they can come away with a win there, that'll be huge for their World Cup groups. If not, I think Panama could steal second place, or at least they could steal first place, honestly, from second place where they are right now. They are taking on Guatemala, who are playing pretty well, but there is a chance against them. Honestly, in this group, I really don't know who's going to qualify. I think it would be great if Suriname did, just honestly for the story. But if Panama can get a win at home against El Salvador on Tuesday, I think they'll finish in first place in Group A. So now we're moving on to Group B of the CONCACAF Qualifiers, and that looks like this. We have Jamaica in first place with 9 points, followed by Curacao in second place with 8 points, Trinidad and Tobago in third place with 5 points, and Bermuda at the very bottom with 0 points. The next 4 games in Group B look like this. We have Bermuda taking on Curacao and Trinidad and Tobago taking on Jamaica on Thursday, November 13th, followed by Jamaica taking on Curacao and Trinidad and Tobago taking on Bermuda on Tuesday, November 18th. So here there's a lot to talk about because it's going to be between Jamaica and Curacao. I think Trinidad and Tobago are too far out at this point, so they're going to have to settle for third place. Bermuda are obviously going to finish last. How it's going to end between Jamaica and Curacao, I really have no idea, because they've both been really impressive so far in these qualifiers. They've been scoring a lot of goals. They've been playing pretty well. So that game on Tuesday night is going to be really interesting between Jamaica and Curacao. That's going to be a winner takes all. I think Jamaica have the advantage on paper and the fact that they're playing at home. So I think Curacao will have to settle for second place, but if Jamaica win, it's going to be a huge celebration. And finally, we have the last group in the CONCACAF Qualifiers, which is Group C, which currently looks like this. We have Honduras in first place with 8 points, followed by Costa Rica in second place with 6 points. Haiti are in third place with 5 points, and Nicaragua are at the very bottom with 1 point. So the final 4 games in Group C look like this. We have Haiti taking on Costa Rica and Nicaragua taking on Honduras on Thursday, November 13th, followed by Costa Rica versus Honduras and Haiti taking on Nicaragua on Tuesday, November 18th. So the big storyline here is going to be Costa Rica versus Honduras on Tuesday. That could honestly decide who wins this group. I think Haiti have a chance if they beat Costa Rica. Like, if they can pull off that upset, it's going to completely change the dynamics of this group. But if they don't beat Costa Rica on Thursday, then it's going to be a battle between Honduras and Costa Rica for first place in this group. Obviously, the goal differential isn't too far apart, so I think Costa Rica have a chance, but they're going to have to win both their games by like a considerable margin, and they're going to have to hope that Honduras slips up against Nicaragua. If they get a point there, it's going to be hugely beneficial for Costa Rica. So again, in these CONCACAF qualifiers, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I think Costa Rica has enough firepower to finish first place in Group C. So now we're moving on to the African qualifiers, and obviously they wrapped up in October, but there still is 1 spot left for the inter-confederation playoffs next year, and that's going to be contested between the top 4 second place teams in the African qualifiers, which were Gabon, DR Congo, Cameroon, and Nigeria. Now the next 3 matches in the African qualifiers look like this. We have Nigeria taking on Gabon and Cameroon taking on the DR Congo on Thursday, November 13th. So that's going to be a 1-game shootout. Whoever wins that game goes to the final. And then in the final, we have the winner of the Nigeria-Gabon match taking on the winner of the Cameroon versus DR Congo match for the final spot in the inter-confederation playoffs. So there is a lot to talk about here. Obviously, Nigeria were one of the most disappointing teams in the African qualifiers. They didn't lose a single game, but they dropped points in 4 draws, and they barely finished above Burkina Faso to get that 4th place spot, only by 1 goal. So really, they're not looking as strong as they could be. Like, on paper, they probably are one of the strongest out of these 4 teams, but they just haven't been playing as well as they could in their qualifying group. So I think that Nigeria versus a Gabon game is going to be really interesting. I think, honestly, just for the storyline, if Gabon win, it would just make it so much more entertaining. But obviously, I love Nigeria. I love seeing them at the World Cup. So that's going to be a really interesting game. Between Cameroon and the DR Congo, I'm probably just going to pick Cameroon. I think they have the advantage here, but you never know in that game. And then whoever wins that one, honestly, I'm kind of rooting for Gabon at this point. I don't really know how this game's going to go, but I think whoever wins the Nigeria versus Gabon game is going to win the final game here in the second round of African qualifiers, and they will take that only spot for the African continent at the inter-confederation playoffs. So the final two nations who will be taking part in the November international break are going to be the United Arab Emirates and Iraq. So they finished in second place in the fourth round of Asian qualifiers. The UAE finished with 3 points in Group A, and Iraq finished with 4 points in Group B. So what does that look like? The last two games in the AFC qualifiers are going to be the United Arab Emirates playing at home versus Iraq on Thursday, November 13th, and then Iraq will be playing at home against the United Arab Emirates on Tuesday, November 18th. So it's going to be a two-legged final to see who is the only Asian representative at the inter-confederation playoffs. Honestly, this is pretty close. Like, I don't really see one clear team having the advantage here. I think based on how they got here, it's going to be really interesting to see how they play in this final game. I think the UAE might have an advantage just considering how they played in the fourth round. They did score 3 goals, but they also conceded 3, comparing to Iraq's only 1 goal, and they didn't concede any in the fourth round. But it's going to be really close. It's going to be a really close, tight affair. If I had to pick, I'd probably say the UAE is going to go to the inter-confederation playoffs, but how these Asian qualifiers ends, I have no idea. The November international break is right around the corner, and in just over 7 days time, we will know all 42 nations who will be going to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But what do you think of the games that are coming up in the November international break? Which game are you most looking forward to, and which nation do you think can pull off a truly great upset? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football content, tier lists, and everything in between, and as always, I'll catch you next time.